la famille.
So welcome. Thank you very much for being here. I'm very happy to have you here for a very special night. Goldup night. Today is a very special night because we're going to focus on women entrepreneurship. And this is something that is really important for me and I guess for you also. And that's also why I invited two amazing founders to be with me today and to share with you their story, who they are, why they did what they did, and a bit of the backstage. So first, can I have in this room a raise of hand for people that already, did it already happen to you to have a business idea? Okay, thank you. And who, in between all of you, launched it? Okay, so that's why we're here today. We're going to try to turn your ideas into concrete business, and that's what Goldup is all about. And how are we going to make that? And first of all, why are we going to do that? Because here you are at the family office. Do you know the family? Who knows the family? Okay, who really knows the family? I mean, who really know what we do? At the family, we believe that anyone can become an entrepreneur. And actually, I need to change my slide to that. Okay. Why do we think that anyone... No, first of all, when we say anyone can become an entrepreneur, we don't mean that everyone should be an entrepreneur or that everyone has to be an entrepreneur. We just mean that an entrepreneur can come from anywhere. And when we say anywhere, we also say any gender. But why we say that? We say that because the internet is a real thing, or not, I don't know. We have access to unlimited users, potential clients. We have access to unlimited information. We have access to unlimited tools. You don't need to know how to code today to build a website or to send 1,000 emails. So if the barrier seems too very low for the entrance into entrepreneurship, but why then are there no more entrepreneurs in this world? And what can be the ultimate barrier, do you think, for someone to actually turn an idea into a concrete business? And yes, it ends with ism. There's a lot of pessimism, elitism, paternalism, everything that ends with ism. Anyway, it all falls down to mindset. I think mindset, we believe that mindset can be something life-changing and a real change maker for someone that wants to be an entrepreneur and that can become an entrepreneur. And these mindsets get fed and nurtured by education. And education, it means knowledge, know-how, of course, but also role models, also a community here to support. And that's why we at the family have this education at our core. It's at the core at what everything we do. Everything we do is to help this mindset grow and this mindset to nurture. So if we have this mindset, and even though we have like 5 million views on YouTube, even though we have 100 startups per year joining us and we provide them with unlimited support, even though we have all of this, we still have a problem, and this is why we're here today, is that we have only 3% of female founders. Our founder, Alice, is a woman, and we only have 3% of female founders joining us. So we are still trying to think about like how can we do something and contribute to a change in this field. And actually, when I joined the family, we had this discussion with Alice, and one of the things that came out was that, so I was an entrepreneur before, and I knew the family. I was watching the video on YouTube, I knew Usama, one of the co-founders of the family, I knew him, I met him, so I had all the support at the reach of my hand, like I could grab it. but I didn't think it was for me. Because of my ID, maybe it was not big enough, maybe it was not ambitious enough. I don't know, I had so many excuses just not to grab what was just there in front of me. And so, because I didn't think it was for me, I didn't do it. So when I arrived and I met with Usama again and I met Alice, we decided to build a program that will make you think this also can be your thing. And this is why the program is dedicated to women, so that you actually feel content. But the content is the same. Everyone can actually train as this tool, but this is very important that you feel that we're here to support you. And also, this is a picture of one of the campaigns I did when I was an entrepreneur. I was making bags. These are my bags. And in 3 years' time, I went through a lot of different ups and downs, and it went really fast. And I think with the right support, with the right program, I could maybe have, I don't know, do something different. And when I built Goldup, it was really from the very first step up to the first sales. What did I do? And I put down on the paper what did I do in each step of the way. And so Goldup, you can check it out online also. It's a 5-week program, 5 Saturday mornings, where you come here and it's a workshop program, so you really come with your laptop and we actually do things, and I won't let you go out of the training without actually launching and pushing the button and doing the thing. And in the meantime, you have a Slack to support, which is an amazing tool for those who don't know maybe. And we're going to make sure that in 5 weeks you launch a business, and if you don't so the program is 680 euro. This is something that you can invest on yourself, and if you don't make this in sales revenue, you get your money back. Because this is something we want to make sure that you get value from it. And now I would like to welcome on stage Laura. Laura is the founder of GARDORE, and GARDORE is, she will talk much better about it than me, but it's a business online that sells outfits to empower women with style. So maybe you can tell us first what's your story and what is GARDORE?
Sure. So I'm Laura, and I founded GARDORE. GARDORE is the first curated marketplace for business wear for women. So we help professional women find the perfect outfits for work. Perfect means that they feel good and confident in their clothing, and that they wear something that even emphasizes what they want to communicate. So yeah, with GARDORE we make this process of buying the right outfits for work much easier and hopefully fun again. And our overall mission is to empower women through style.
Thank you. I completely agree that it's so useful to actually feel good in your clothes. That's why I bought this dress for this occasion. So I know it's really important. And I wanted to ask you, so you founded GARDORE with someone else, you have a co-founder, and what is the very first thing that you did, like the first step?
You mean when I started?
Yes, from the idea to
overall it's not that you start on one day and then you just work on it, right? It's a process. So the very first thing when I had the idea was checking online whether there is already something. And there wasn't. So that was the very first point when I started to think about GARDORE. Back then there was no name for it. And later, when I decided to really work on it, the first thing I did was going through my network, contacting people who might know more about this than I do, or I did. Now I know a bit more, but back then I didn't have a background in fashion, or I didn't even know how to address the problem that I wanted to solve, which was that it's difficult for women to find something nice and appropriate to wear at work.
Okay, so your first thing was actually to find a name, or is it like...
No, the first thing was to understand better the problem. So I talked to customers, of course, or potential customers, and I also talked to a lot of people from, let's say, the industry or other founders who had more experience and just had ideas how to approach this problem. Because I was really coming from a customer problem that I experienced myself. It was not that I thought, oh, I want to start a company, and I was checking different options or thinking about a business model that could work, and then came to the problem. It was really coming from the problem, so I had to find a solution. Yeah.
And when you studied the market and you understood what could be the solution, the possible solution, how did you, like, what was do you remember your first sale?
Apparently not. I have to think about it. I remember that it felt super good, of course, but it took quite some time. I mean, I really, as I said, I went through my network, talked to so many people to understand how I could approach this problem, to develop a concept, and even though I tried to be fast and to really stay lean and test an MVP, it took some while to get there, to have the people who could build it and to sell it. But at some point, it happened.
So you said it took a little bit of time.
A little bit more.
Do you have how much time did you need it until from the idea to the actual business?
Okay, the question would be what's the actual business, but I had the idea, I think in maybe 2012 or something already. Back then I worked as a consultant, and as I said, I experienced the problem or the underlying problems myself, but then I continued working there, and then I did my master's for 2 years, and just after that I started working on it. That was in 2015, and I also worked part-time on other stuff, and now, a bit more than a year ago, my co-founder joined, and since then we really concentrate on it and push it together, fully dedicated, full-time. And since then it's going faster, but it's developing the whole time.
So what, in all of the things that you decided to search and to look into when you had this idea, what is the drive that made you do that, and what is the thing that helped you the most in doing so?
I mean, my underlying motivation. First of all, I was always fascinated by entrepreneurship or by other founders. Even when I was younger, for example, I was fascinated by Ray Kroc, the founder of McDonald's. I was like, wow, how can you build something that big? And not that I'm a fan of McDonald's, but back then it was just an example of a founder's story that I found fascinating. And I'm also from an entrepreneurial family, so there was always a topic, and I discussed business ideas with my dad back then on the beach in the holidays. And also studied business because I was interested in that. I wanted to learn how to build a company, how to manage a company. And then I experienced this problem, and I thought, wait, if it's not only me, and it wasn't, who has this problem or who had the problem, there is a business opportunity. It's also a very lucrative target group, of course, professional women. It's a growing segment, it's underserved, a lot of money, no time, so I was like, okay, that's the time. Yeah.
Now I want to get to know you a little bit better. So you said you come from an environment where you had role models because you come from an entrepreneurial family. So you had those role models, you had this education background, and you have a sense of, and you knew where to look out for support already, kind of. What would you say to someone who like wants to start and who doesn't know where to start?
I would still say reach out to people who know more. And I mean, here in Berlin, for example, there are great ways to do that. There are events every day. Here, this is an amazing example, and your program, for example, as well. I think it's very important that you build your network, and of course, you might have some contacts already or less or whatever, but if you go to meetups or just try to surround yourself by people who are like-minded and who start something as well or who have more experience before, like step by step you get to know more and more people and more relevant people maybe, and yeah, you just learn and build your network. It's really strong here in Berlin. I feel that it's relatively easy to get to the people you want to talk to. It takes time and you need an introduction from one person to the next and to the next. So it's a process, and I think at the very beginning it might be a bit frustrating even, but then if you make your steps and you get to meet those people, it's great, and yeah, that's the best way, I guess.
Thank you very much. My last question is a bit tricky. It's also to get to know you better, because I think like what helped me the most is like when I could identify to those persons that I had and role models in my head too. And I was wondering, so who were you as a little girl? What would say the little girl today about what you do?
Yeah, as a little girl, I think I was just a normal little girl, and as I said, I come from an entrepreneurial family. When I was born, my parents had a restaurant in Kiel, where I'm from, so I was part of this. Sometimes the chefs took care of me because my parents were busy, and I got to know this environment of doing things and just thinking in this entrepreneurial way. Still, of course, as a child, I was not too aware of this. So, I don't know, I liked horse riding, for example, where I learned that you always have to stand up again when you fall off, which happened all the time at the beginning. So it says, as long as you can stand up yourself, just get back on the horse's back and keep going. Don't be afraid, because when you start getting afraid, then it's much more difficult. I guess that was an important lesson. And then over time, my interest in entrepreneurship grew, but as a little girl, I rather wanted to be a vet, I guess.
Thank you very much, Laura.
Thank you. Thank you, Marine.
Hello, my name is Jenna. You mentioned your co-founder. Is it someone that was already a friend of yours, or is it someone you found? And then the second related question would be, how do you find talents to fulfill the key projects you have within your company?
Yeah, good question. The team part is, I think, one of the most difficult ones when starting something. My co-founder now was not a friend of mine. We went to the same uni to do our masters, but while I was studying entrepreneurship, she did marketing. So we just had a Spanish course together. we studied in Barcelona. And at some point I decided to look for a co-founder actively. So it took me quite some time, a few months, and at some point, I mean, I had a list of people. To be honest, I went through my LinkedIn profile and Facebook and just went through my contacts to think whether anyone could fit the profile I had in mind. So I had a clear profile in mind. And then I was like, Anna, true, yeah, could be nice. I was still in Barcelona back then, she was in Berlin. And independently from that, I decided to move to Berlin, and one of the first things I did was reaching out to her to meet for a glass of wine. I didn't tell her that I wanted to talk about business, but I did, and she was about to quit her job, so she said, yeah, actually it's interesting. She had already another offer, but in the end she didn't sign there. So yeah, it was not a friend, but someone I had something in common with, and I knew her background, and I had met her in person, and I had known people who had worked with her, so I had references, let's say. And yeah, then we started to work together and test how we would work together, and it went well, and we were on the same page with very important things: values, company culture, goals, what we want to reach. Yeah, so that worked out very well in the end. Took some time though. And in general, how to find talent, it's difficult, I guess. I mean, so far we haven't hired many people. It's more freelancers, interns, but still it's something that is not super easy. I mean, we reach out through our networks again, through different platforms, and we try to find people who share our mission or vision and who share our values. So that's something very important for us, and we always check whether someone is really motivated and also get something out of the job. So we have our own criteria, of course. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you. I thank you for your wonderful talk. I wanted to ask, who are your main competitors on the market, and where is your profit generations coming from? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Main competitors are big multi-store and multi-brand and single-brand stores, retailers. So, for example, Zalando is probably the biggest because it's just the biggest fashion e-commerce player here. Of course, brick-and-mortar stores as well, Pick und Kloppenburg here in Berlin, maybe KaDeWe. So there are many competitors. However, there's no competitor that is specialized on our target group. So we are the only ones that have this clear focus on professional women and the work environment. So that's what sets us apart, and we get our revenue based on commissions. As a marketplace, we don't have our own products, so we don't have stock, we don't resell anything. We work with partners, and we really handpick brands and products that we display on our platform, and when something gets sold, we get a commission.
Thank you. Hey, I was wondering, how did you finance it in the beginning? Also, how did you finance your coworker? Because you asked her, hey, you want to work with me? But I don't know, I can't pay you, or
yeah, very important question as well, or topic. There was no money, so I mean, I had just finished my master's and I didn't have any savings. So I worked at the same time, part-time, for some time, and then I had a founder's grant from the region I'm from in Germany. So that was my income for a few months, and then that was over, and I still didn't make any money with GARDORE, so I worked again as a part-time consultant. I had the experience from the consulting firm, so I helped others build new businesses, which is also interesting, and that gave me a chance to continue with GARDORE. I also didn't pay any people. I mean, even at the beginning, I worked with quite some people. I had potential co-founders, I had interns, and just people who helped out, because it's not possible to do everything by yourself. I mean, no one worked full-time at the beginning, besides me, but still, all the support was very important, and I just couldn't pay. And also my co-founder who joined didn't get anything, any salary at the beginning. I told her straight ahead, and I think it's pretty normal. It's like you can't pay as a company that doesn't make any money and that doesn't have any investment. So I told her, look, it will take us a few months until we get the first investors. And she had some savings. She just quit her consulting job. But it was tight, and I mean, I still live in a flat share, which is nice, but I also just moved to a bigger room, and you know, you have to find your ways to save money and just to survive somehow.
So basically you had interns without having a big company or anything?
Yeah, I had sometime for like the first intern I had, I think 2 years ago, something like that, 2.5 years ago, for a few months, and then I had people who worked with me on a very flexible base. So whenever they were available, they helped out. Now we have a team, and now it's like in the office and working hours and salary and everything, but before it wasn't. And I don't want to exploit anyone. I never did, I think. I just give back something else. So instead of giving money, which is just not there, I try to give experience, feedback, possibilities, network, like whatever I can. I think personal development is very important. It's also something that motivates me, starting something. I want to help other people develop, and there's so much you can do that, yeah, I think this gives a lot and is a good balance if there is no money.
So I actually have 2 questions. While you were talking, I had the chance to look at your webpage, GARDORE, and as far as I understand, this is an online platform. Would you think in future to turn it into an app, and how much would this cost you think? This is the first question.
Yeah, no, we don't have any plans at the moment to turn it into an app, so I also haven't thought about the cost, to be honest.
Okay, and the second question is, how do you establish a relationship with your clients, which is mean the brands, or like
Okay.
who are you hosting in your marketplace and how?
Okay, yeah, so we have kind of 2 sides as a marketplace. We have the clients, as you said, the partner shops or partner brands, and on the other side we have the end consumers. I think your question was more about the partners, and we started pretty simple with affiliate partnerships. There are affiliate networks that allow you to sign up for free, and then you just search for the programs, meaning the brands or partners you want to work with, and then you get access to their product feeds. That's not a super easy process to integrate the products you want on your website, but yeah, you just get a commission whenever you sell something. And we, as I said, we started with that, but we are still in the transition to be a drop shipping platform where we have direct deals with the partners. And we also started with bigger brands like Hugo Boss, Esprit, Strines, and so on. But now we integrate more and more smaller brands, labels from Berlin, for example, wherever, like New York, Paris, and they are more specialized on our target group or on specific needs. For example, we have a brand that creates laptop bags for women specifically. I have one with me over there. And those brands tend to reach out to us because they find us somewhere and they like our positioning, and yeah, then we talk and make a deal.
Hi. One question I would have, because your idea already started in 2012 and then it really kicked off in 2015, whether you have set yourself some stage gates or some KPIs that you want to hit, maybe 2020, or if you have like a KPI when you would say, okay, I'm actually stopping the business now because it's not profitable enough, or I'm not hitting the targets I've set myself.
Yeah, definitely. Now we have these KPIs and goals we have to reach. Before, it was a little bit more flexible. I mean, I had to survive somehow, and I had to have the feeling that I haven't done everything yet. So that's what kept me going. I thought, okay, if I do this, then I will make progress, or if I reach that point, it will be a big step. But I didn't have clear, let's say, KPIs or measures where I said, okay, if I don't reach this by the end of whatever month, I just stop. That I didn't have. Now we have investors on board, we have a team, we have expenses, and we've just started with the fundraising again for our next round. If we don't make that, then I have no plan B. So, I mean, I'm very optimistic and it goes well, of course. It's not the point to think about what happens if it doesn't work out. But if you have a running business at some point, it's just, yeah, you can't keep it going if you have a clear path. Also, I think especially when you have investors on board, you have to reach certain growth rates, and yeah.
Hi, I would like to ask if it was difficult for you as a woman to look for investors, or in general like funds, not really, but more like investors?
Yes, it was difficult, but I wouldn't say it was particularly difficult as a woman. I think it's difficult for everyone. However, we have a women-related topic, right? We solve a women's problem. So investors are like 95% male, and if you tell those men, hey, look, it's difficult for women to find something for work, etc., they're like, really? Okay. Some say, yeah, my wife has just told me the same, or please do something. My whatever girlfriend always tells she doesn't have anything. But some find it more difficult to understand the situation and also the whole complexity behind that. I mean, in my case, for example, and I think it's similar for many women, you are still in the minority. As a consultant in the life science industry, I was sometimes the only one the only woman in a meeting room full of men. And if you don't feel comfortable in your clothing, then it's not so cool. So at least you shouldn't be worried about your blouse or whatever, and fully focused on the meeting. And that's something that is harder, I think, for men to understand. It would be, I guess, the other way around as well. If men tell me about a problem they have in particular, it's harder for me to understand. So I think it's fair, and we just had to find a way how to explain it in a very good and understanding way for them too. And I mean, yeah, you can also argue that some men tend to rather support other men, because in general human beings tend to support others who are more similar to ourselves. I don't know, I haven't experienced a clear case of that. I think nowadays there's also a lot of attention for female founders, so-called female founders, and that's also a benefit. So I think, as always in life, I believe there are advantages and disadvantages.
Okay, the last one.
I have a very follow-up question. Thank you, it's been super interesting. Just relating to your question, so do you have any female investors?
Yes, we do. We have an institutional investor that is mainly male-dominated, but we also have business angels, and among those we have women too. Yeah. Luckily.
Thank you, Laura. If you have more questions, we'll have some wine after. Maybe.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you for the great questions.
So I'd like to welcome Charissa now, the founder of ISLA Berlin. Maybe some of you know. I love your sweater.
Thank you. I had to wear it.
You had to. So hello Charissa, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
I'd like to know what is ISLA Berlin, please?
So I like to call it a female space, but actually it's several things. So it's retail in the front, then a nail shop in the back, and we do a lot of events, but we also, for example, do a lot in music. So we have CDJs set up for women to come in. We have a radio station in the store. So it's kind of hard to explain in one word what it is, but I don't like the word concept store, but I guess it's a concept store.
Okay. And how did you start it?
It all started with the idea of nails. So I've always been really into nail art, and I could never really find a place to get my nails done. I'm from Amsterdam, and there were not many places there either. So then I moved to Berlin for a job at Zalando at the time. That's over 3.5 years ago. I always had this idea of having my own business. So that was already something I had since I was a kid, basically. And then I had this idea of a nail salon and nail art. But I didn't just want to open a nail salon, also because I'm not a nail technician myself. So I wanted to combine it with something that I knew more of. And not just because I'm not a nail tech myself, but also I wanted to be more of a platform and community and not just like a beauty salon. So then I decided to combine it with streetwear for women. That was the initial idea. Because a lot of the skater shops, streetwear shops are very like bro-y. It's like a lot of guys and skater dudes hanging out, and when you want to try something on, it's always a bit uncomfortable. I decided to combine these two elements, and yeah, that's how it all started.
If we go to the very first day where you started, I want to know when you were in front of your laptop. I imagine you were in front of your laptop or your phone, I don't know. What is the first thing that you do that creates it for you, ISLA Berlin?
It was a pretty long process, actually. And also it didn't start with a name. I just had this idea of creating a space where different things happened. I can't really remember what the first thing was, but
when I say first thing, it could be like opening an Instagram account or just having fun designing the logo, or what is it like the...
Yeah, funny enough, the name and the logo really came last. It was really working on the concept and really figuring out, okay, does this really not exist anywhere? And is there really not a place where you can get those things? So yeah, a lot of research, a lot of talking to people, a lot of spending time online. Really tweaking the concept, working on the concept. That was the first
creation.
step. Yeah, that's how it all started, I would say.
And then you opened offline first?
It launched at the same time, so we, I say we, I always say we, but it's just me. So I found a space. I started with looking for a nail technician, and that was pretty hard because, getting your nails done is not really a thing in Berlin, or wasn't really a thing. So there were also very few nail technicians that offered the type of nail art that I wanted to offer. So I spoke to a lot of nail technicians from the UK, where it's already way bigger than in Germany. And I convinced Maddie, who still works with us, to move to Berlin. And actually, the moment I found Maddie,
You founded ISLA.
Yeah, I kind of knew, okay, now I can, because without a nail technician, there's not much of a business.
It's really hard to find where was the starting point, but I think it's important to know that there is actually no starting point. But
it was a process, and I think I'm very I just jumped in it and I went for it. It's not really, maybe I should have thought about it more because it was very, very stressful in the beginning. But I just did it. I just decided to go for it and went for it.
I feel if you think about it too much, you never do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I just had the opportunity. I sold my house in Amsterdam, so I had a little bit of cash. I think that was the moment that I thought, okay, I can keep the cash, but then I have to pay taxes over it, or I just invested in myself and start my own business.
Nice.
Yeah.
My next question is, what would you say to someone that want to start and that hesitates?
I think it's very, very stressful. And not to like demotivate anyone, but I think I underestimated how stressful it was. So it's really good to have maybe even a partner. I did it all by myself. I think if I could do it again, I think I would do it with someone, because it really is a lot of work. And I think the first 6 months I almost gave up like 10 times. It was really, really stressful, and it's literally working 24/7. I didn't see my friends. I didn't do anything fun. But luckily I had like great support from my boyfriend and my friends, my husband, I have to say. Yeah, also a very weird story. I found this old crazy man that helped me through the whole process of setting up my business. It's a funny story. If you meet him, you will understand why I say old crazy man. He once posted on Facebook a post in one of these groups. I'm Dutch people in Berlin. He posted something like, "Hey, young entrepreneurs, if you need help, reach out to me." And I was like, "Yeah, well, why not? I'm just gonna send him a message." We went for a coffee, and yeah, he's a bit like a crazy old professor. He had very successful businesses himself. He sold them all, and now he just loves to help young entrepreneurs. And in the beginning, I was really skeptical. I was like, "What do you want from me?" But he genuinely just really enjoys helping young entrepreneurs, and he really, really helped me a lot. So also in the first 6 months, years, when I almost gave up.
Pay it forward mindset. The mindset is pay it forward. You give and you don't expect to have something back right away. It's pay it forward.
Yeah.
It's the same as the interns of Laura.
Which is really strange, which I was very skeptical about. But
yeah, I think we're all like, I joined the family only 1 month ago, and we have this pay it forward on the wall, and we have it everywhere. And at first I was also very skeptical, but actually it's really good to.
Yeah.
It's a really good mindset. Sorry.
What was the question again?
No, I think it was, what would you say to someone that want to start and hesitates?
Yeah.
So you were beginning by saying it's very stressful?
Yeah, it's really stressful. Yeah, make sure to find the right people, maybe to do it with or to support you,
to surround
in the
you
background.
with.
Yeah. I think that really helped me through the first year, I would say. The right people around me.
My favorite question, who were you as a little girl, and what would the little girl say about you?
I was always very entrepreneurial. I remember when I was like, I think 6 or 7, I made these little super lame magazines for the neighbors, and I sold them to the neighbors, like with neighborhood news or something, and like super dumb. I was thinking about ways of making money and creating my own business. Yeah, I think it was really, and I don't have any people in the family who have their own businesses, so I don't know where it comes from, but I was always very entrepreneurial. Yeah. I think she would be proud.
Good answer. Okay, well, I think we should open up the mic, if you agree, because I think there's always a lot of questions. Sorry. Someone has a question for Charissa, maybe?
No. I have one for you.
Hey, that was a great speech. So my question is, how hard is it to go around all of the administration and paperwork in Germany? I mean, that's the first thing that scares me when I'm launching my project now, and I mean, it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
For someone who doesn't understand specifically all the legal words and things like that, I mean, where should I look for help as a beginner here in Berlin?
Yeah, that's really hard, because that's where I got a lot of help with. Because yeah, I'm not gonna say you're right, it's really, really difficult with all the paperwork. So I was just very lucky with this man that I was talking about, because he literally came to all these appointments and helped me setting up the business, the bank account, all that type of stuff. Maybe even to bring a German-speaking friend, I think that would already help. It's not very complicated, it's just that a lot of the times they refuse to speak English, and a lot of the terms are just pretty difficult. I understand German, but the legal terms are just very complicated. So yeah, I think if you could bring a German-speaking friend, that already helps a lot. You don't really need to know a lot about setting up businesses. You just need to understand what they're talking about, basically. Yeah. Sorry, I wish I could give you better advice.
I mean, I know it's just complicated.
Hi, hello. I'm not sure how to really formulate my question. This is an expression that you said, and Marine also said something about invested in myself.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you always had this idea of doing something, or how exactly do you measure this investment in yourself? So, of course, you did your own business, but do you have also other ideas of how someone could do that? Do you understand what I mean? Or like in reading, in lots of things, but when you said I want to invest it in myself, you knew that you wanted to have your own business.
Mm-hmm.
So you always had this vision that one day you would do something.
I was just really tired of working with colleagues, I guess. Working in corporates, I really, really liked it, but you just have to compromise on your ideas so much. And when you, like I said, Zalando was a great time. I think I worked there for over 2 years. But a lot of the times when you come up with an idea till the execution, so much has changed. You have to compromise a lot. So yeah, it was very frustrating because I just knew that not all of my ideas, but a lot of my ideas were good, and then the execution was just like a weak takedown of my initial idea, which was very frustrating. So with investing in myself, I just meant creating my own job, my own business, so I didn't have to compromise on anything. So I can go to work happy every day, you know?
So you sold your house knowing that you would create your business, or it was?
No, I kind of had to. So very technical question, but answer. But I had a mortgage. I was renting it out. I wasn't really allowed to do that. So the bank was like, "Hey, you have to either move back or sell it." So then I decided to sell it, and then I used the money.
Good. Thank you so much.
Really nice sweatshirt. Is it your design?
No, it's actually a collaboration with a brand called Tain Clothing, and they make these jumpers, and they made this ISLA version.
The clothing part of your store, does it belong to like someone else's designs, or like is it also your ideas?
It's a mix of our own brand or our own stuff and other brands. So we work with really big brands such as Nike, Converse, but also local brands, Namilia, ISLA Berlin, and we just find products online that we buy in and sell under our own brand name. So it's a mix.
I have a quick question. There's so many businesses been happening online nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you decide to also have something offline? And I mean, knowing you come from a place where you could have done something entirely online, and what's the difference, I guess, of having to work in this space?
I think, well, nails you can't really do online, so that's how my whole idea started. So I just knew I had to, do something offline. Also, if you look at all the cool streetwear kind of shops, they're doing really well. Because people always say retail is dead, but I disagree. I think mainstream retail and how we know it without experiences, I think that is kind of dead, but creating communities, creating spaces is definitely not dead. And the good examples that I knew were very male dominated or very, had a focus on men. So I just knew, nails you can't do online.
Yeah.
So
you did pick something that had to work because you have and stuff like that.
And also I hear a lot of people ask me, hey, I want to open a shop as well. And I do warn the people that ask me that, because retail is really hard. If I had to survive from just retail, I don't think we could. So the nails is a very big, chunk of the income.
Good to know.
I wanted to ask, do you have a plan to scale for the future, or how do you see your business getting bigger?
Yeah, I mean, there are several ways, several options basically. I would love to optimize the online shop. I think what we do is alright, but we can do way better online. I have really interesting ideas for beauty. So I'm now also talking to investors to see if I could perhaps launch a beauty line. I would also love to expand to other cities because I think Berlin is a really, really cool city, but in terms of what people spend on apparel and shoes, etc., is not, and beauty is not the highest. So yeah, I'm definitely looking into expanding, but yeah, I'm not sure yet which way. There's different options.
I've got a quick question. How do you convince a brand to work with you? Did you just say, hey, I've got a cool idea, I'm ISLA Berlin, and come work with me?
Basically, yeah. A lot of brands actually reach out to us. I think one of the first really big brands we got was Namilia. I don't know if you know the brand, but they're from Berlin, but no one really knew. So I don't know, I just messaged them on Instagram and they were like, yeah, cool, we're from Berlin, we're coming by. And I think from having that brand, more brands, showed interest. Yeah, it's all very organic. It's not really, there's one brand that I've been trying to get that they're very difficult. But besides that brand, it's been all very easy and mostly via Instagram DMs, funny enough.
I have a question. I know that you're doing a lot of cultural events like Tiny Pizza, Ingi, blah blah blah. Would you say that this is an added value to the retail part? Like, do you get to touch customers by doing these events, or is it like something you do because you love it, and then you see how it affects your business?
I think because we're trying to be more than just a shop. I'm not. I mean, yes, I need to make money at the end of the day, and yes, I need to sell clothes, but I think what I'm trying to do is to create a space, a place to go to where I would like to go to, you know? So, I just see it way bigger than just being a store. I just create content and events that I think me and my friends would go to. That's the whole idea about it. And I think it definitely helps in sales and awareness.
Hey, thank you very much. I wanted to ask, because I just have looked in your website, just look through what kind of nails, special designs you're doing, and what kind of clothing you're selling. And I just want to get an idea, who's your target group?
Ooh, I would say the open-minded. I hate to describe these audiences, but it's the modern woman with a city mentality, if that makes sense. So not necessarily born in a city, but moved to a city whenever she had the opportunity. And also, I think internet culture plays a big part in what we do and what we communicate.
So what do you say is that inspiration for creating the company was driven by being in Berlin? Was that the sense or not really?
No, I don't think so, no. I think, don't get me wrong, I love Berlin, it's an amazing city, but I think there's a lot of culture missing in the city. So we're actually looking at cities as London, New York, and trying to bring those cultures, or elements of those cultures to Berlin.
One more question, if you don't mind. How do you compete with vintage stores, which can sell plus minus the same things that you sell, and with Zalando, for example, again?
I think our curation is very different from, for example, Zalando. So to give you an example, we sell what Zalando is not allowed to sell. So brands, like the big brands, usually have a segmentation in like mainstream stuff and more niche and cooler stuff. And Zalando is usually not even allowed to buy these things. Whereas we have a reputation of being a cool shop, so we're allowed to offer these products, if that makes sense. And we work with a lot of small brands that Zalando just doesn't even have on the radar. And I think vintage is a whole other segment. I think the women that come to ISLA could easily also shop at vintage shops, but wouldn't necessarily shop at Zalando.
Maybe first of all, you have a very fantastic name. I think we should also brand that somehow.
The picture.
Yeah, I have the question of, because you had difficulties at the beginning describing what ISLA Berlin really is, whether you're actually lacking focus a little bit, because you're having all your creative ideas, and you said that you want to open up new shops, and you want to do this and that, and you want to have this brand and this content and these events. What is it really that makes you unique, and what is your core business?
That is that we offer all these different things, and that we offer experiences, and that I think current retail shops just focus too much on selling, and I think by offering all these different elements, like you said, I think we create way more of a community and way more of a platform, rather than trying to sell you a piece. You know, you can also come to just have a drink and use to see DJs, and I think that is really our strength, that we are part of the community, that we open our doors for everyone, even if you don't want to spend money, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I just feel it's a very manual process, and that it kind of lives with one person who's creating all these different elements and these different things. Hence, I guess it's difficult to scale and to bring that to different cities, because it's then lacking your personality and your ideas, because you really, you know, you're hands-on, and you really pick and choose the different brands and the different events, and it's
It's not just me. I think it's finding the people, which is also the hardest part of running a business, but I have an amazing team of almost 10 women, and luckily it's not just me curating those brands, curating those events. I don't do nails myself, so it's I think it's finding women who have the same vision and mindset really shape ISLA. So it's never really been about me, and it still isn't about me. So I think having a good team makes it scalable.
And bringing it back to making compromises. I mean, you just said earlier that...
No, I think if you look at... I mean, we're never trying to be a Zalando. I think if you, for example, look at Dover Street Market, that is way more in the realm that I would like to be. I'll never be a Zalando, and I don't want to be a Zalando. And I think if you have to hire on that scale, you really have to compromise on the people you hire, and you don't have to hire the people that have the same vision. But if you have a smaller team, you can be way more critical about the people you hire, and if the people you hire have the same mindset and vision, I think it's definitely possible to scale.
Yeah, mine's not a question. I just wanted to add on to what you were asking. With the unique selling point about ISLA, it's more like the female space, and like you would never go to Zalando and just like hang out there. It's more than just a shop. It's, as Charissa said, like the female empowerment and bringing together like-minded individuals that feel safe in this particular space, rather than just a shop that you would buy clothes at. Yeah, I think that's the unique selling point of ISLA. It's more than just a shop.
So I need to go and check it out, yeah?
Hi. I haven't looked at the website, but as far as I understood, you have this shop and you do nails, and you also have a retail, like clothes, and so what's your main role in your business?
Good question. I actually try to be as little as possible involved in the day-to-day, because I would really like to scale it up. So I'm working on like long-term plans and strategies, business plans to scale it up. But yeah, that is pretty difficult. I think motivating the team and managing the team, that takes way more time and effort than I expected. So a lot of my time goes into into that. And then also long-term plans and development of the business.
Sorry if I keep asking, but do you feel okay with it, or sometimes do you feel like you're missing a bit, like the enjoyment of having the business? Like, do you feel
I think like I said, the first 6 months I was really questioning why the hell I did it. But now I really enjoy it every day. It's very, very rewarding, and I have an amazing team, and they're also super supportive, and it's really, really, I can really recommend it.
I think one last thing back, and then
I was wondering, what are the main tools you use to build brand awareness?
I think in the beginning, because I set up the influencer marketing department for Zalando, I knew a lot of influencers in Berlin. I think in the beginning I used my network a lot, so I invited a lot of people over to come and hang out or get free nails, or I just used my network a lot in the beginning. But now I think a lot of other people are talking about us, which really, really helps. I never ever paid anyone to promote ISLA, and yet we get a lot of mentions and a lot of people who come in always Instagram or share our products or nails. So I think Instagram plays a really big part for the business, which is also a little bit scary because you don't want to be depending so much on one platform, but thank you.
I think we're good.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Que la famille.